Hi everyone, my name is E.Priest, and today I will be sharing my inclusive teaching portfolio, which I've titled Shadows and Frogs. This presentation focuses on how I used inclusive teaching strategies with toddlers and how I supported all learners through hands-on exploration, intentional teaching, and relationship-based practices. Inclusive teaching means meeting every child where they are and making sure all children have meaningful opportunities to participate and be successful. In a toddler classroom, this is especially important because children are all at very different developmental levels. Some are very verbal, some are just starting to talk, and others may need additional support. So for me, inclusive teaching really looked like providing multiple ways for children to engage, rather than expecting everyone to respond the same way. The classroom I worked in was a toddler room with children ages 2 to 3 years old, and there were about 10 students. The classroom included a wide range of developmental levels, and there was one child with an IEP. Because of this, I had to be very intentional about adjusting my teaching. I couldn't just plan one way to do things. I had to think about how each child could access the activity at their level. My unit was designed to build over time, starting with shadows and moving into pond life, and eventually focusing on specific animals like frogs and ducks. Each lesson built on the previous one, which helped children stay engaged and deepen their understanding. This was really important because toddlers learn best through repetition and familiar experiences. My first lesson focused on exploring light and shadows. The goal was for children to explore light using their senses and movement, rather than expecting them to explain it verbally. To introduce the lesson, I gathered the children on the carpet and showed them flashlights and animal figures to get them excited. During the main activity, they explored making shadows using the flashlights and animals. At the end, we came back together and talked about what they noticed. The materials included flashlights and animal figures, and one thing that worked really well was that all children could use the materials in their own way. There weren't strict directions, which made it naturally inclusive. Some children focused on the light, some on the animals, and others just explored freely. I used MTSS to support different levels of learners. Tier 1, all students explored the flashlights. Tier 2, some students received extra prompting and visual support. Tier 3, one student received one-on-one support. I also used strategies like modeling, open-ended questions, and scaffolding. This allowed every child to participate without feeling singled out. This lesson went really well because the kids were highly engaged. They were excited and curious the entire time. One thing that surprised me was just how excited they were about something as simple as shadows. If I were to change anything, I would bring more animal figures so there's less waiting. Lesson 2, Pond Life. My second lesson focused on pond life and sensory exploration. The goal was for children to explore living things through hands-on experience. To introduce the lesson, I told the children they were going to play with water, which definitely got their attention. We sang 5 Little Speckled Frogs and read In the Small, Small Pond. Then they explored the water table with pond animals. I used water tables, buckets, and plastic animals. To support all learners, I added tools like scoops and grabbers for children who might not want to touch the water directly. This made the activity more accessible for children with sensory sensitivities. Again, I used MTSS. Tier 1, hands-on exploration for all. Tier 2, visual supports and guided questions. Tier 3, one-on-one support and modified tools. I also used strategies like language modeling and open-ended questions. This helped children participate at their own comfort level. For follow-up support, one of my students, I used modeled sentence frames like the water feels, and I would help him explain. Then the small group, we had groups of 5 children at a time at a water table, descriptive language for items in the water table. And I modeled descriptive language for my one student that had an IEP. And reflection. This lesson was very engaging. Kids loved the water and sensory play. They were excited, curious, and stayed involved for longer periods of time. If I were to improve anything, I would add more water tables or stations so children have more space and less waiting time. Across both lessons, I saw improvements in student engagement and curiosity. I felt really confident that all children were able to participate without frustration or feeling left out. That was really important to me, especially working with toddlers. There are a few big ideas I'm taking away from this experience. First, inclusive teaching means providing multiple ways for children to participate. Second, small adaptations, like adding tools or modeling language, can make a big difference. And third, consistency across adults helps create a strong classroom environment. Moving forward, I want to continue being intentional about differentiation and making sure all children feel successful. I've learned that when children feel included and confident, they are more engaged and willing to take risks in their learning. Thank you.